everyone and welcome. It's Shanna Makes It, and I am part of the design team for Love from Lizi. And today we're going to be working with the July 2025 Be Happy card kit. And I have got all of my card elements prepared in advance, and we're just going to make 5 cards. And then I'm going to bring in a 6th one and show you that I'd made during my unboxing. So I'm just going to take this craft cardstock and we're going to get it laid down on an A2 size card base. Now all of my cards today will be A2 sized, and we'll just be using just various products on them. So I'm just going to get this laid down on there, and I've cut this to 4 by 5 1/4. And this pattern paper and ephemera is just beautiful. In fact, all the elements to the kit are just so pretty and so fun. So it's going to be easy to make some beautiful cards with the materials that are included in the kit. Now, I hadn't originally thought to put this strip down, but I thought if I do that, I can make this card look like the challenge number 4 card. So I'm just going to get this laid down on there, and then we'll add our ephemera, and we've kind of got a card that is very similar to the challenge 4 card. So for this, I've got some of the craft cardstock in which I've stamped out all of the sentiments from the set. And I'm going to use one of the wobblers. There's a couple of wobblers in your kit, and I'm going to pull one of them out and use it for this bee on the flower. And we'll just have a little wobble going on there. I'm bringing in my tweezers so I can grab a hold of that thin piece. Hopefully I can get a hold of it and get it pulled off of there. There we go. So I'm just going to stick it right on my ephemera, and then we'll put it right there on that black strip. And that is mirrored, the black mirrored cardstock, especially cardstock is what that is. And then I have just stamped and heat embossed my sentiment with some clear embossing powder. And I'm going to get it laid down on there. I did use some dies to die cut out. I had some sentiment dies, and I die cut out my stamped sentiments. And I'm going to add another bee on there. We've got tons of bees, tons of bee ephemera in this kit. So you want to use those at every opportunity because there are a lot of them. Now we're going to use this fun, I want to call it mesh. I don't have my contents sitting in front of me, but it's got the daisy, I don't know, daisy tool, I guess maybe is what that is. And I'm taking my dot runner and I'm going all the way around my 3 3/4 by 5 panel on the back of it. And I'm going to take this mesh and I'm just going to pinch it all the way around and get it adhered on this panel. And I'm just rolling it around there and just pinching it on that dot runner. Now I would suggest after I did this, I would have had better success, I think, if I would have just used straight double-sided tape instead of that dot runner. It would have been a more consistent strip of adhesive. But I will make this work, but I recommend if you try this, use some double-sided tape. It'll be a lot easier for you. You'll notice I'll do a lot of pinching and fumbling around with it, and I think if I used the double-sided tape, it would have laid down a lot easier. I'm even going to take my bone folder and give it a good press and get it laid down on there. And I will add more tape runner on there, and we're just gonna make a shaker out of it. I'm gonna bring in some shaker balls, and we're just gonna slide them inside of that. I just had these orange ones from my stash. I'm just gonna dump them in there, and we've got some shaker beads. Whoops! And I'm also going to decide to add some of these iridescent flowers that we've got here, and just tuck them down inside there as well. So I've got all those in there, and I'm going to add some more adhesive to this. I've got to glue down that top part. I left that open so I could put all my bits and pieces in there, so I'm just going to pinch it all down and get it all secure so that our beads and our flower embellishments do not escape. And I'm just putting lots of tape runner on there. And look at that, super cute. And they're just bouncing all around there. Now I've got some more of that mirrored black specialty cardstock, and I'm going to lay this panel on it just to kind of help it to pop off of that craft cardstock there. And I'm putting some more of that tape runner down, and then we're going to add a bunch of glue. And I'm going to make sure that I hit that tool all the way around so that I get it good and adhered. I've got a little corner there that's kind of popping up, and I realized there was a little bead in there, and I got it out. So I thought this was a fun use of that. When I saw that, I kind of envisioned that that's what I wanted to do with it, and I think it looks super cute. It's kind of a sweet card. So now we'll just get it laid down on our panel, and we'll get plenty of glue on there, and then we won't have to worry about any of our embellishments escaping from our little card. And here I'm just pressing some of that tulle back in there that's kind of needs pushed in. So there we go. We've got lots of shake going on. And we're just going to get this laid down on our card base, and then we'll start adding some focal points to this. You could just see those beads rolling all around. It's a very fun card. I had a lot of fun with the 5 cards that we're going to make on here today. I think you'll enjoy them. So if you will, stick around. I know it's a little longer video, but we've got some really fun cards to look at. Also, if you wouldn't mind, hit the like, and that would really be helpful. I would certainly appreciate it if you do that. Now here I have taken the die that you can see is off to the left there, and I actually traced around it with black. One of them is the glitter black cardstock, and the other one is just plain black cardstock. And I just traced the die on that, and then I fussy cut it out, and then I used the die cut piece and layered on top of it so that we would have the yellow and the black together, and I think it really makes it pop. Now I'm taking the dot runner and putting some tape down there, and then I've got my glue so that we'll get it good and adhered, and I thought that would help the tool stay down better on the card base. And I just checked my card kit contents, and that is called the Daisy tool. Wanted to make sure I was referencing the correct terminology for that. And so now we are going to we've got this little bag here that has got some tiger-eyed embellishments on here, and we are going to use those to kind of help glue down that daisy tool in some different areas. So we got 5 of these black tiger eye gems is what these are. And I'm going to use 3 of them on the card. We'll save 2 of them for something else. And I think this card turned out really fun. Super fun card. So let's just move on to the next card. And we'll just bring in our elements. Now here we're going to use, we've got 3 links of specialty ribbon. We got a gold mesh, a daisies, and then these bees. And I'm going to use these bees on this particular card. So I'm going to use some of the craft cardstock and get it laid down. And then we've got this honeycomb pattern paper, and I've got some of the black cardstock, and I'm just going to this time use my double-sided tape. I learned my lesson on the last card. And we'll get this bee specialty ribbon laid down on this black panel, and I think it's going to be a really fun element on the card. So I'm bringing in my bone folder and giving that a good press so that hopefully I can get the release paper to come off. I do struggle with getting the one to come off, and I'll have to press it again. So I'm going to give it another good press, and then I should be able to get it off of there. There we go. So I've made this black piece of cardstock just slightly wider than what my ribbon is, so that I can have black on either side of it. And then it's wire, so it'll bend and kind of go right over your edge. And that makes it nice to get a good fold. And then I'm bringing some twine in from my stash that I thought would look nice with it. And we're just going to tie a knot around here. And I'm going to run a tape runner because I like to hold that twine in place. I'm lining it up on my glass board so then kind of get it in the middle. And then I'm going to measure kind of the halfway point and kind of line it up on there. And I'm going to put a knot in there. And then we're going to add some of the embellishments that we have. We've got 3 bee charms and 3 honey pot charms. And I'm going to use one of the bee charms and one of the honey pot charms for this. And I think it'll be cute. It really makes a cute card. And what you could do with this is you could make it, use some repositionable tape or removable tape, and you could actually make this a bookmark or something and attach it to your card. But I didn't do that. I just happened to think of that idea, and I thought it'd be a cute idea. So here I'm just weaving those charms onto this twine, and we're going to tie it in a bow. I think I decided I need to add another knot just to hold them in place and keep them, exactly where I want to. And then we'll just add the bow, and we'll get the bow to lay down on here nicely, and we'll trim up our strings. And I think this turned out super fun. I really like this idea. And I have 2 more of the specialty ribbons, the gold mesh and the daisies, that I'll be able to work with at another time. I could do something similar because I really like how this turned out. So I've got my honeycomb paper there that I'm going to layer on there, but I'm going to bring in just some foam tape, and I'm going to tape this up. I'll put a bunch on there, so I'll skip ahead because you don't need to watch me. I'm sure you don't want to watch me fussing with all that foam tape, but we'll get this laid down onto the honeycomb, and then we'll add it to our card base. And I really think this comes together nicely. You've got a lot of texture and dimension and interest on this particular card with all the elements that we've got going. So I'm just going to lay it down. We'll have a nice little craft frame around it. Oh, I really like this. I decided I wanted to use some of the black pill-offs. They're the black sway and gold finish pill-offs. And so I'm going to use them on this and just lay them down on the black panel. And it'll add some shimmer and shine to the card. And so we've kind of got a little bit of rustic look to it with the craft and the ribbon. And then we've got a little shine from the new pill-offs that are the black sway with the gold finish. And I really like these. These are super fun. And we'll just get this thing laid down on our card base. And ahead of time, I had stamped out the sentiments and used clear embossing powder and heat emboss them. And so I have several of those at the ready that I can use on the cards as we move along. And for this one, we're going to use You're as Sweet as Can Be and just pop it up. And I think it turned out really cute. I like it. Now we've got one more design that we're actually going to make 2 cards out of, because I took this A2 size panel and I split it. It's actually smaller than A2. It's a layer. This black here is the A2 size, and then I went in 1/4 of an inch on the pattern paper, and then I just split it so that we could get 2 cards out of this one design. And so we'll get our black layer laid down here. I think my card base was a little off on one side, so I just trimmed it up just a hair. I mean, you could just barely see it. And then we're going to bring in our 2 panels. And what I did was I cut it out of 2 different patterns, and then I just swapped them. And so we're going to have the bees on top with this one and the honey boxes below on this card, and then we'll flip-flop it on the next card. And we're going to keep this one really simple. I've got another one of the bees laying there die cut out, and I'm just going to pull it in, and we're just going to glue this down, and it's going to be our focal point. And I mean, it's a big die, so that really adds a lot of interest. Then I'm going to bring in You're as Sweet as Can Be, and I've used just some white cardstock to stamp and heat emboss that, and we'll get it laid down on here. And then I'm going to bring in this black mini circle from the variety pack that goes along with the Be Happy kit. And we're going to lay several of these down on our card base and just add some additional interest. We don't have a lot on this card, so we're just going to lay some of these down and just add some pops of black here and there. And I can't get this one to lay where I want it to, so I'll fuss with it quite a bit. And I think I wind up pulling it off and just grabbing another one and putting it on there. At this point, I'm like, I think it's going to stay on there, but then I will eventually get it off. So I'm just going to bring another one in. And I didn't get it exactly laid where I wanted it either, but it's turns out all right. And so that will finish off this card. And I think it's pretty. Now we're going to make another one with the reverse of it. And we're just going to kind of do the same thing. Oops. And I'm getting a little wild. I got dropping my card panel, and I've got foam tape backer flying. And, you know, when you're making a video, the craft room turns into a disaster pretty quickly. So apologize for that. So I'll get this panel laid down on there, and we're going to do very similar to what we did on the last card, but we're going to add some additional focal points. And we'll get this last piece of pattern paper laid down on there. Now for this one, I've decided that I'm going to bring in some more of the black sway with a gold finish and just run it along the edges of there. And it really adds some nice shine to the edge of the pattern paper. And we've still got that black cardstock peeking between there as well. But I thought this looked lovely. And there we go. So next I've got this honeycomb ephemera piece, and I've taken that stamp set and used white and heat embossed the Be Happy. And I'm going to put it down here. We're just going to make it our focal point. And then because we have so many bees, we're also going to bring another bee back in, and we'll pop it up, and it'll be fun, a fun element as well. So I thought I was just kind of testing out where I wanted to put it, and then I decided to put it at the bottom of the honeycomb. And so I'll bring in a foam square and just pop it up and get it laid down on there. And that'll finish up our 5 cards. Now, we're going to go through all 5 cards, and then I'm going to bring in one that I made during my unboxing video on my channel. So we've got the wobbler, and we have got the ribbon, the specialty ribbon with the charms on this one. And here we've made a shaker with a daisy tool. And then we've got our black sway, and we've got our die. And then this is the one I made with my unboxing video. And I kind of made it to where it'll spin, and when you open it, it should spin. I'm having trouble with it spinning right now, and I brought in the border die from a previous kit. So thanks for watching. Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.